Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the Bruce County Council May 3rd, 2018 meeting to order and welcome everyone today, and we also extend a welcome to our online viewers and visitors. The first thing on the agenda, of course, is the roll call.
Councillor Buckle. Present. Councillor Eady.
Present.
Warden Eagleson. Present. Councillor Ingalls. Councillor Jackson. Present. Councillor McKeever. Present. Councillor Smith. Present. Councillor Tulin.
Next item on the agenda is the declaration of pecuniary interest. I'd like to remind all the members that it's our own responsibility to do so if and when a matter arises. Number 3 is the confirmation of the council minutes of our April 5th meeting.
I have a motion moved by Councillor Smith and seconded by Councillor Ingalls that the minutes of the April 5th, 2018 council session be adopted as circulated.
You've heard the motion. Is there any discussion on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? That's carried. Thank you. Communications, Donna. Nothing further on communications. Delegations. Okay, this morning we're very pleased to welcome the Grey Bruce Mental Health Association and Addiction Providers Integration Process. With us this morning is Claude Anderson, Executive Director. Maybe Claude, you'll, who's leading off, and we'll finish up with some introductions. Hi there. Sarah or Julia?
I'm Julie.
Okay.
Good morning. So hello, I'm Julie Moore, and I'm the integration coordinator for the mental health and addiction services integration, which involves 3 of the adult community mental health providers and addiction providers, as well as the Grey Bruce Health Services as our 4th partner. And I'm joined this morning by Claude Anderson, who's the executive director of the CMHA Grey Bruce branch, and Sarah Cowley, who's the executive director of Hope Grey Bruce. And you can see on the slide deck that we have membership also from the hospital, but we don't have our partner from the hospital with us this morning. So I'm just very quickly mindful that we only have 10 minutes with you, so I am going to skip a few slides, but I'm going to try to give you some highlights around the work that we've done, and certainly happy to answer some questions, both Claude, Sarah, and myself at the end of the presentation. The integration is steeped in an agreement between the 4 providers that really envisions a system that builds on staff expertise and program strengths that already exist here in Grey Bruce, but that aims to improve access and coordination for all patients and clients. So just a very quick background, and I appreciate you've had this in your package and likely had a chance to already review some of this. But the history to the integration has been that these partners have been working closely together, obviously as health service providers, but have also been working closely really since 2015 to explore what an integrated model of service would look like. What would one single entity for mental health and addiction services in fact look like here in Grey Bruce? You can appreciate there's been lots of heavy lifting, lots of discussion, lots of work together, and most prescriptively since the spring of 2017, when the group formed a transition council which consists of senior leaders as well as representatives from each of their boards of directors. And that group was struck and funded, as you can see from the Southwest Local Health Integration Network, to really very I think prescriptively explore what an integrated model would look like. That funding allowed for the group to tap into other expertise and other resources, including, as you can appreciate, legal counsel, because this is the merger of 3 legal entities, as well as a number of human resources, including a coordinator, which is me, which is fantastic for me. So we've had some early milestones. Last fall, as you know, we've started our conversations, and then last fall we participated in a due diligence process, which I'm confident all of you will be familiar with, which is a legal process in which we look at risks and liabilities for each of the organizations and what they would be assuming by partnering together. So what would the other partner be bringing to the table as a risk? They determined a new name and brand, which you'll find in our slide deck Quebec will continue to be a Canadian Mental Health Association branch and brand for lots of great reasons that we know there's consumer confidence and certainly high regard and reputation for that particular organization, and so we wanted to leverage what existed in the community. But we did make some changes to the brand, and that included a tagline that will use language that is inclusive of addictions, so that we can identify what the service will be providing. And so completed due diligence, determined a new name, determined a governance structure, and then a skill set for those governors, and developed a service model. So what will the new organization look like? What services will they in fact provide? So even though those are only 4 bullets, I just have to stop and tell you, like, that's a lot of work. That was a lot of heavy lifting for that slide. And so I just want to quickly point out that this integration is not driven by quality. Really important for you to understand that. These are 4 providers that currently provide excellent services, that the services here in Grey Bruce are exemplary. This is not an integration driven by a need to improve quality. And that's important because in other healthcare integrations in Ontario, they are sometimes driven by quality, a need to improve the quality of service. That's not what was happening here. It was really an opportunity to look at how do we deliver our services in a seamless way and make them easier for patients or clients to access and navigate and move through the system, and how do we reduce some of the fractures or gaps between services. And it was certainly not about quality, but really about system improvement. So this, for example, would be the current system today in Grey Bruce County. So you can see lots of bubbles, lots of different doors and portals into service, depending on whether you're a hospital patient or you're a community patient, or maybe you've been a hospital patient and you're being discharged into the community. So what does aftercare look like for you? Or maybe you're receiving services in the community, but in fact you need to be in a bed in a hospital program. What are the various pathways through the system? As you can see, it's a little bit complex, even for those of us who work in that system, and that was really the reason why we wanted to move to a system that's slightly more seamless. I'm not going to spend any time on the client story, but I would encourage you, if you have an opportunity, to read what one client or one patient has experienced the current system as, and you can see this is motivation for us to want to look at how do we deliver our services differently. When we decided what services would be where and how we would design our new system and our new organization, we had key criteria that we agreed to. So the goals for all of the decisions that have been made have been driven by these bullets. Improving the inflow and outflow of mental health and addiction patients. Again, coming back to making it easier to navigate that system. Reducing fragmentation and reducing duplications, of which there are some, if we're honest with you. So we wanted to address those. Definitely, I think our driver in all of this is enhancing the experience for patients and clients, so that this healthcare system is experienced as better and easier and effective. We also wanted to recognize that we do have demographics and populations that are not as well served as others. So how do we in fact enhance and improve on serving those, the needs of those unmet communities? Specifically, and we've mentioned cultural groups or folks with a specific diagnosis, such as dual diagnosis. And then how do we improve both the consistency across the system and the timeliness? We don't want to have, obviously, as you can appreciate in healthcare, and sometimes what you'll hear in various media cycles is around wait lists or times that people are waiting for service. So how do we ensure that the access is timely, that we are not waiting or asking people to wait for extensive periods of time? So these next 2 slides will show sort of which programs currently are in the community that will in fact be moving over to Grey Bruce Health Services, and then what's actually coming out of the hospital or is already in the community in some cases and will stay at the new community organization. I appreciate the font's really small there, so So as you saw from a previous slide, we did a lot of work specifically over the fall, and that culminated in an amalgamation agreement that was executed on January 31st of this year. And we anticipate the changeover date, or the go-live date, if you will, for the new organization to be September 1st, which yesterday I realized is really 4 months away, on May 1st. So you can see this is our new organization name, again, CMHA, Grey Bruce, and you'll see the tagline, which includes mental health and addiction services. So that is new language for the branch here in Grey Bruce. So what's next for us? We are currently in the process of our CEO search and recruitment, and we anticipate that we will have identified the successful candidate next month, if not later in May, but ideally in June, and that individual will onboard over the spring and summer months. The other key piece for us is we, in fact, have an entire legal process around regulatory filings that has to take place to, in fact, merge these 3 legal entities and transfer hospital programs. You can appreciate we have lots of staffing changes to navigate. We're bringing together 3 different shops, putting them into one, and then moving some hospital employees over into the new shop. So you can appreciate that. Just to give you a flavor, we have 2 unionized workplaces, 2 non-unionized, and we have 4 bargaining units. So we've got lots of collective agreements and lots of navigation around our employee groups. That would lead into work that we're doing around harmonizing policies, procedures, and our processes. Again, 3 shops with 3 different strategies for doing work and wanting to streamline those, as well as looking at opportunities to harmonize wages. Again, there is a continuum of wage grids across the system, and we want to obviously be equitable in our wage grid. And probably key to us around is legacy celebrations. You know, Hope Grey Bruce, Sarah's the director here today from that organization, as well as CMHA, but G&B House as well. These are organizations that are steeped in history here in Grey Bruce and have done incredible work over the years, often on the backs of volunteer board members and on very dedicated staff. So we want to ensure that while we're excited about the next chapter in an integrated organization, we also want to recognize the great work that's been done. So planning some legacy celebrations and opportunities to acknowledge these important organizations before they become part of a bigger organization. And certainly continuing to talk with and engage and communicate with patients and clients clearly, right? We want to have clear messages to those folks so they know and are assured that services are still going to be provided, their worker is still going to be available to them. There will not be any disruption to service for them, as well as our employee groups, and then certainly system stakeholders. And that obviously includes groups like yourself, so that you're made aware of the work that we're doing. These are just some reflections. I think these were really, this slide deck that I'm showing you today was actually shared with the Southwest LHIN Board of Directors in February, and we wanted to provide them with some lessons learned, if you will, because we know that integrations across the Southwest are being discussed, and we are very pioneering. I really want to be clear about that as someone who previously has worked for the LHIN for 8 years. In Grey Bruce, you are pioneering. These group of leaders are incredibly progressive. This is work that is really new and voluntary, and such a terrific opportunity for other communities to look at what did we do well in Grey Bruce and how could they replicate that. And that's really some of our reflections for our funder. Happy to take any questions. I'm a quick talker, so I think that's why the other 2 put me up here. But you're happy to ask any of the 3 of us any questions. But I would want you to know that I think this is exciting work in your community. As somebody who's worked in other subregions, this is a pretty dynamic group of service providers. And as I said before, the integration is not driven by quality. The quality of services exists here. It's really how do we enhance what we're already doing. So really exciting time for us, but lots of work. So happy to take questions.
Anne, go ahead.
So I take it you're breaking new ground here.
We are.
And have you found other models in Ontario that you've been able to use that are kind of a guide, and is this pretty well common practice now throughout Ontario that they're integrating?
Great questions. I'll turn it over to Ms. Quiet too.
Yeah, there have been a few other integrations in Ontario, but there has not been one that has been similar to this in that we're bringing together both addictions and mental health, and we're inviting hospital services to come into the community. That is unique in the province, and I can assure you it is getting provincial attention. So I think we're setting a model for the rest of the province here in Grey and Bruce.
Well, all the best of luck.
Thank you.
Mike?
Thanks, Mr. Warden. First of all, congratulations on your initiative. I think it's a great idea. My question is, when you have those 4 different groups you bring together, where was the funding all coming from separately, and is all of that funding going to follow you into the new entity?
Yeah, so the majority of the funding comes from the Southwest LHIN through the Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care. We do have some funding for our housing programs at Hope Grey Bruce that come directly from the ministry, but all of that funding for the services that were identified to come to the new agency will be flowing into the new agency.
Through you, Mr. Warden, if I may have 2 questions, if that's okay? Two.
Thank God there's 2 of us.
A great presentation. I am interested in one area that doesn't appear to have been represented in the presentation, which is Southwest Bruce, and I'm curious as to why that, particularly the hospital and South Bruce and the Southwest and the area of Kincardine have not been represented.
So from an organizational perspective, the organizations that have been involved in this process are the ones who are currently providing mental health and addiction services. So we have communicated with South Bruce, we've communicated with the Hanover Hospital. They're all aware of the process, and we've been looking for feedback. And the new organization will continue to work with them moving forward. But this was really about bringing together the organizations that house the mental health and addiction services currently.
So through you, Mr. Warden, my second question, given that answer, is at what point will the new organization do expansive outreach to those geographic areas so that, in particular, the mental health services connected to addictions cover the entire county of Bruce?
Yeah, currently the Bruce Shoreline team is in Kincardine. Covering that area, and addiction services are also available there. One of the things that we want to do with this integration is make those geographical teams more robust and integrate some of the services that are more localized to the Owen Sound area now, deployed to those geographical teams. So in answer to your question, there are services that exist there now, but we expect them to be more robust through this integration.
Dave, did you want to?
Thank you, Mr. Warden. I assume that all of the organizations that were involved before are still going to be involved, like the Grey Bruce Health Unit. I don't see any connection with the health unit through this. Would they be still involved as part of one of the groups?
So in partnering, yes, the new agency would be expected to partner with all of the existing groups that the 4 agencies are partnering with, and we would expect those partnerships to grow and for there to be more outreach to other organizations as well.
Good.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I thought in Kincardine, with the Canadian Mental Health Organization right there, that was integral to this new organization. So can you just explain it a bit better for me? How the organization in Kincardine, is it part? It's not part, or just how does it work?
Sure. So we have 5 geographical teams in Grey and Bruce. One of the geographical teams is housed in Southampton, and they have a satellite office in Kincardine, so they're part of that team. So that will be integrated into the new organization because it's part of CMHA now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to be clear on that. Thanks.
Yeah.
So will there be less physical offices
Yeah.
Yep.
Will you be looking for new
That would be the goal.
physical structures, physical offices?
Not in the short term. We're going to be using existing space. It is a challenge because there's potential of 33 people coming out of the hospital into the community, and so we have to integrate them into our existing offices. We feel we can do that, and down the road, whoever the new CEO may be may have a vision of one central location in each community. That would be great.
Thank you for that. Any other questions? Seeing none at this time, just want to congratulate all your organizations, and this obviously has been a very challenging and onerous task, and I congratulate you to working it through to the end. I think it's an excellent process, but I'm sure it's been met with its challenges, and it looks like you're getting close to the end. And at the end of the day, I really see that this will be an improvement for the person that needs the help, because navigating the existing system is a nightmare.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming. Reports of staff. There's the next item on the agenda. Inquiries and announcements. Any inquiries and announcements this morning? Minutes were attached, Donna.
Thank you. I have a motion moved by Councillor Ingalls and seconded by Councillor Smith that the minutes of the following committees be approved. April 5th, 2018, Corporate Services Committee, Executive Committee, Homes Committee, Human Resources Committee, Human Services Committee, and Museum Committee. April 19th, 2018, Executive Committee, Planning and Development Committee, Transportation and Environmental Services Committee.
You've heard the motion. Is there any discussion on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? That's carried. Item 9 on the agenda is notice of motion. Anything at this time? Nothing at this time. Other business? Bylaws, Donna.
I have a motion moved by Councillor Tulin and seconded by Councillor McKeever that the following bylaws be adopted. 2018-026 is a bylaw to delegate financial and staffing authority to the Chief Administrative Officer for the period of nomination day, July 27, 2018, to the inaugural meeting, December 6, 2018. 2018-027 is a bylaw to authorize the execution of a long-term commitment agreement for the participation in the G7 2018 National Tree Planting Project. 2018-028 is a bylaw to authorize the execution of an agreement between the Corporation of the County of Bruce and the Ontario Federation of Trail Riders to access the Bruce County Trail. 2018-029 is a bylaw to authorize the execution of an Ontario Transfer Payment Agreement, Ontario Labour Market Partnerships, between Her Majesty the Queen and Right of Ontario, as represented by the Minister of Advanced Education and Skills Development and the Corporation of the County of Bruce. 2018-030 is a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the County of Bruce at its meeting held the 3rd day of May, 2018.
Kelly Calder.
Through you, Mr. Warden, to yourself and council, I just wish to point out that bylaw number 2018-29 that was placed on as an addendum this morning. It is the agreement with the Ministry for Advanced Education that we received late yesterday. So staff had no ability to put it onto the agenda prior to, so for your awareness.
Thank you for that. Did you you read the motion? Okay. I think I'm agreeing with that. My attention ability to retain things is diminishing rapidly, Ann. Like pointed that out before, but. So, any other discussion on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? That's carried, thank you. Anything further for the good of Bruce County Council this morning? If not, Donna.
I have a motion moved by Councillor Buckle and seconded by Councillor McKeever that we adjourn to meet again on Thursday, June 7, 2018 at 9:30 a.m.